You're listening to the Jams and Coffee Morning Show with your host, Brad Brock.
Good morning, Jammers. Welcome to the JNC Morning Radio Show here on YouTube and on JNC Radio via LIVE365 app. I'm your host, Brad Brock. Well, I tell you what, man, these mornings are early after the Wednesday podcast. I was in the middle of some sort of some crazy dream while I was just before my alarm clock went off to come and get this show started. And I was like, man, sometimes I'll wake up several times before my alarm clock goes off, and I'll see, it's 3:30. I got a few more hours. I got 4:30. I got another hour before I got to get up. No, man, I slept like a rock last night, all the way through until my alarm went off this morning. But I am here. Great to be here. It is Thursday morning, July 28th, of course, 2022. And it's a beautiful day. Yeah, Philip, thank you for tuning in over there on YouTube, Philip. Maybe it was the scotch. Believe it or not, I actually did not drink as much scotch as I normally would on a normal podcast night because we were just kind of tasting it. We did have several scotches, though. That was a good time. That was the first time, I think that we had a proper tasting of anything on the podcast. We definitely dove into the cocktails side of our Jams and Cocktails podcast last night. That was a good time. Thank you, Philip, for tuning in with us last night and, of course, being here this morning. And to all of you tuning in the morning. I know it's early, and I appreciate your company here. Lots of interesting stories. And I'm going to talk about one that's not ended up not being a story at all, but I thought it was interesting that it showed up on my news app. We got some local news here, not so good, definitely not a good light. Then we also have some interesting national news and some actual cool music news as well. But I guess we'll kick it off with our weather today. It's going to be hot, folks. It's going to be really hot and fairly dry. Look out the window is my windows are all fogged up, which means it's probably super humid out there. And the weather report is as follows. It's hot and mainly dry weather will take us to the end of the work week with only a 10 to 20% chance of primarily coastal showers and inland storms. The tropics are staying quiet. Another shot of Saharan dust is moving overhead, which will help suppress the rain chances and create hazy skies. Daytime highs fluctuating by only a few degrees between 90 and 92, with the heat index topping out near 100 degrees at the coast and into the low hundreds inland. The dust will start to move out of the area over the weekend, but still not much rain, around 20%. Next week, we're back to 30% for Monday and Tuesday and 40% by next Wednesday. So rain chances going up as the week progresses next week. We are in the dog days of summer down here in Florida, Philip. And that is no doubt. A little recap of last night. We were just kind of talking about it being National Scotch Day yesterday, and we did. I had a great time going over it. This is something that Paul from Drums and Rums and I have been, talking about doing reviews and things like that on different liquors and cocktails and such. And so that was kind of my forcing myself to dive into taking a look at how to properly enjoy a spirit with the mindset of paying attention to its various flavor profiles. And we learned some new words associated with tasting or taste testing. We learned that nosing is a word. We learned mouthfeel, which I guess is the way that it feels in your mouth or tastes over your tongue. And then, of course, the finish. taken out of context, is a little weird. but it was a lot of fun, and the girls were champs. We had a little discussion after the show, and prior to the show, and this is a little inside knowledge, prior to going live, I had to sit with Jordan, who hates drinking straight spirits, and say, listen, for the show, I need you to put all that aside, and really just be present in the moment and try to really taste this. And by God, if she didn't do a great acting job, to the point where I was almost convinced. I was like, okay, maybe she's enjoying this. Maybe she's really coming around to drinking some scotch on the rocks with me. No, that wasn't the case, folks. Jordan's an incredible actress, Golden Globe Award winning, in fact. While she said it was a good time and a fun experience, she said she would never do that again, probably. Well, what are you going to do? My sister, on the other hand, said it was a little bit better. But I don't think either of them are going to become any whiskey aficionados anytime soon. So they were troopers, and I appreciate their participation in the show. Surprisingly, I thought we had a pretty good interaction, only streaming exclusively on YouTube for the first time, intentionally, of course. We did get some people that carried over from Facebook, which was really nice. We even had a stranger trying to sell us sex ads in the chat room as well. Great fun. So yeah, I'm gonna keep that push and trying to get people over to YouTube exclusively, so we can kiss Facebook goodbye once and for all. A great platform for what it is, but man, really not conducive to the show that we put on. And the radio app and YouTube, clearly a better choice. Yeah, Paul, maybe I should reach out to them for a sponsorship. Sex ads. Find love in your area tonight, right? I was wondering how because each time they would pop up, I would just put a ban on them. And I was wondering how they were getting in. And I realized that part of the message was actually in the name of their account. So it's very interesting. I think I even got one post after we had stopped going live. So you have to admire their tenacity. Well, what are you going to do, you know? So I think we're going to take a quick music break, let you guys have some jammy jams while I refresh this coffee. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit, because we were talking about airlines earlier, or last week or a couple weeks ago. And we're going to talk about a few of these really trash airlines that nobody in the merger agreement that nobody cared about. And so you're listening to Jams and Coffee in the Morning. We'll be right back.
Away at my stone wall. You can run to hell and walk away from me. Honey, you can shut my eye and I'll find a way to see. And I don't know who you are. You're not the girl I used to know. One more thing before you go now, darling. I'm not your baby anymore. Gamble on me, and you don't think twice. Honey, you can cheat and lie. is what you'll get. Honey, you can take my love and go and add it to your bed. And I don't know who you are. You're not the girl I used to know. One more thing before you go now, darling. I'm not your baby anymore.
says anything helps, God bless.
she's got a looking around. It makes me want to cry. Give a little more and take less. It ain't right. Lord, it ain't right. Something ain't right. That ain't right. I wish there was something I could do or say. We gotta get together. Someday it ain't right. No, it ain't right. I wish there was something I could do or say. We gotta get together. Some way it ain't right. Lord, it ain't right. Now I know that there's got to be a better way. We can't keep looking the other way. It ain't right. Lord, it ain't right. Now here's the land of the free and the home of the brave. Things ain't exactly what they seem. We gotta leave the rest alone and take care of our own. I think it's pretty plain to see. Lord, there's something ain't right. No, it ain't right. Something ain't right. Lord, it ain't right. Well, I wish there was something I could do or say. We gotta get together. Someday it ain't right. No, it ain't right. See, I wish there was something I could do or say. We gotta get together. Some way it ain't right. Lord, it ain't right. Now I know that there's got to be a better way. We can't keep looking the other way. It ain't right. No, it ain't right. Something ain't right. Lord, it ain't right. Well, that ain't right. No, it ain't right. Something ain't right. Lord, it just ain't right.
You're listening to the Jams and Coffee Morning Show. With
That's right. You are listening to the Jams and Coffee Morning Show. Thank you, Jessica. Jessica's my assistant. She makes sure that I come back in off of the break, at least the first one, with some sort of fanfare. Yeah, Paul is at the airport getting ready to go on a rum trip up to the Carolinas. We were just talking in the chat on YouTube a little bit about that trip, and he said he was flying Jimbo's discount seaplane and more. Not part of this merger that was never meant to be. You talk about taking two complete airline abominations and pulling them together to make one giant, terrible airline. And what airlines come to mind for you when I say this? Well, obviously, I'm talking about Spirit and Frontier. They're the only airlines that make sense to come together, to join forces, to become the worst trash airline that ever existed. However, rest assured, the merger agreement has been halted. However, negotiations do carry on with, the one step above airline, which is JetBlue. So here's the story, you guys. Frontier is no longer in talks with Spirit after months of negotiations to try to merge the two U.S. Discount Airlines, which now puts the focus squarely on JetBlue Airways and a possible acquisition by Spirit. Oh, no. As the Wall Street Journal reported, Spirit rejected agreements within the talks with Frontier to merge, and shareholders were resistant to the deal as a bidding war ensued with JetBlue. The termination of the merger agreement between Spirit and Frontier Airlines on Wednesday comes months after JetBlue impaired the deal by bidding as well. Spirit says it will continue the ongoing discussions with JetBlue as the company pursues the best path forward for Spirit and the stockholders. Fuck the customers, right? Nobody cares about us and the people flying on these terrible airlines. But I will digress at the end of this article and take a moment there. But if Spirit takes over JetBlue, the deal will create the fifth largest airline in the U.S. And according to the Washington Post, Spirit terminated the Frontier deal as shareholders were reportedly prepared to reject it after JetBlue made a recent, higher offer. Ted Christie, president and CEO of Spirit Airlines, released a statement that said, "While we are disappointed that we had to terminate our proposed merger with Frontier, we are proud of the dedicated work of our team members on the transaction over the past many months." He said, moving forward, the Spirit Board of Directors will continue our ongoing discussions with the JetBlue as we pursue the best path forward for Spirit and our stockholders, as I mentioned. And that was reported by The Verge. Okay, so don't get the need and the place for these discount airlines. I myself was a big fan of Spirit many years ago because when I was young and dumb, young and dumber. When I was young and dumber, I used Spirit Airline all the time to fly up to Atlantic City. And I think I was part of like the $3 fare club, I think is what it was called. I think it's up to $5 now, but they'd have deals all the time. And of course, you're paying $5, but you're paying all the taxes on what the ticket actually would be. But like, I was dating a girl up there at the time, so I would literally just leave, like clothes and things up there. So I would walk on the airline or walk on the airplane with nothing, paying cheap to cheap fares, and go up and spend the weekend and then come back. And it was doable, it was feasible. Obviously, things have changed now. Even back then, they weren't nickel and diming you for everything. My gosh, you buy your fare, which means that you're allowed to get on the plane, but you also have to buy your seat. You have to pay for any piece of luggage that you bring on, be it a backpack, on down to actual proper luggage. It's interesting in a way. Like some people, like I said, if you want to just walk on the airplane and sit in a seat, you get away with pretty cheap fares. And obviously you're sitting with no separation between human beings at all, and zero leg room, which is fine for me because my legs are very short. I think my legs are 10 inches long max. So, but for any kind of experience, I feel like American or Delta is the only way to go to still, have some sort of reasonable rate and any kind of experience. Can you imagine if Spirit, at least you had Frontier and Spirit, driving their own prices down. They were going to merge. Because JetBlue is a better deal, but they were just a little bit a notch above. So I'm okay with this merger not happening. Don't know what's going to happen to Frontier. Are they just going to go out of business? We'll find out. Speaking of flying somewhere, into music news, Bruno Mars is going to throw a Labor Day pool party in the Bahamas. Probably take a Spirit flight there. Let me tell you what, if anybody needs to merge with somebody, it's Bahama Air. My God. Not that I'm not complaining today. This is not a complaining show. But if you've ever flown Bahama Air, you understand. Bruno Mars wants you to soak up the sun, splash in the pool, and sip on a pina colada during his Labor Day weekend pool party in the Bahamas. Us Weekly reports that the Grenade hitmaker is teamed with SLS Bahamar for a 4-day pina colada pool party. The celebration runs from September 1st through September 4th. Bruno will likely have his rum brand, Silveray, flowing since it does go by the tagline, vacation in a glass. Aside from some poolside fun and plenty of rum, Paul, an array of DJs will keep the music going. So far, DJ Stevie J, DJ Ignite, and Oso City, Asocity, okay, have signed on to keep the music thumping. I'm sure he's a wonderful DJ. Bruno will close out the 4-day bash by assuming hosting duties that Sunday. He'll also kick off a 7-hour music performance with his Silk Sonic co-star, Anderson .Paak. Did he just say 7-hour? What the hell does that mean? At any rate, tickets are now on sale via the venue's website, as are special VIP packages. So, yeah, I guess Google Bruno Mars in the Bahamas if you're into that. Sounds fun. It sounds fun. I'm a huge Bruno Mars fan. I think he's great. And then the team up with Anderson .Paak for Silk Sonic. Woo! Great tunes. Very cool vibe that their music has. So I haven't tried their rum yet. Paul, out there, have you actually been able to get your hands on any Silveray and give that a shot? A shot. I imagine it can't be terrible. Thankfully, you guys, Pearl Jam has returned to the stage following Eddie Vedder's vocal problems. Reportedly had some vocal injuries, which forced Pearl Jam to cancel 3 shows after wildfire smoke damaged Eddie Vedder's vocal cords during a set at Lollapalooza, Paris, more than a week ago. But thankfully, the frontman felt well enough to play the final show of their European tour at the Ziggo Dome in Amsterdam on Monday night. The band treated fans to some rarities and covers during the 21-song set, opening with 2000's Nothing As It Seems for the first time on that tour. They also dusted off Off He Goes, Pilati, and Mankind, and also notably played WMA for the first time in Europe since 1993. They also performed covers of Neil Young's Rockin' in the Free World, Kiss's Black Diamond, and Prince's Purple Rain. Interesting choice for Pearl Jam. That show in the books, Vedder now has some time to rest before the band heads out the second half of their North American tour in September. So glad that Eddie is doing better. Breathing that smoke is bad, man, especially when you don't know what the fire is burning. Put some weird stuff in the air. You can jack some things up, no doubt. Keeping in the music theme, Harry Styles, whom I love also, I think he's a genius. He actually sent Lizzo some flowers after she dethroned him on the Billboard Hot 100. He's thanking Lizzo for replacing him as the top artist on the Billboard Hot 100. Lizzo took to TikTok to show fans how the British singer congratulated her for sending About Damn Time to the top of the chart. Prior to that song, his song As It Was had enjoyed a multi-week reign at the #1 spot. She captioned on her TikTok, y'all, Harry got me flowers congratulating me on About Damn Time going #1. The sunset-colored bouquet is over the top, filled with multicolored roses, dahlias, and other lush flowers. Thanks for the flowers, Harry, Lizzo sweetly exclaimed in the video, soundtracked to her song I Love You, Bitch. She then sniffs a red rose and flashes a wide, happy grin at the camera. A note was attached to the giant bouquet, but Lizzo did not reveal what Harry had written. Lizzo and Harry are very good friends and regularly shout the other one out. Most recently, Lizzo stuck up for Harry during the Liam Payne controversy, where the British singer claimed he was the face and most successful member of One Direction. Likewise, Harry brought the Truth Hurts rapper on stage to perform with him when he headlined in Coachella. So I love Harry Styles. I think he's a genius. And but don't get it twisted. About damn time, if you guys are sleeping on that Lizzo tune, you got to go and listen to it. It's a jam. Not all of her stuff hits for me, but that song is that's liquid gold as far as I'm concerned. Audio gold. It deserves to be there at the top 100. So Harry Styles, good sport. Good sport. Hey guys, I'm going to send you away for another music break here. But when we come back, we got some local news, some terrible local news. We got some shitty kids to talk about, and I can't wait to get your take on this. But in the meantime, here's one from my good friend Bob Green. I'll see you in a bit.
pirates come for me, I'll be ready for the fight. Lover, please lay down your walls, for they're much too high for me to climb. You see, I'm not perfect, we all have our flaws. Yours are just a little harder to find, but I'm gonna ease your worries, so show you a heart that's made of gold. I'll bring you the moon, baby, if that's what you need. And as we sail the seven skies, I suggest you close your eyes, for it's then that you can truly see. We can walk on the water, and we can dance in the clouds. You were your father's daughter, and you make him so proud, yeah. But now take my hand, let's play this time. So lover, please lay down your walls, for they're much too high for me to climb. You see, I'm not perfect, we all have our flaws. Yours are just a little harder to find, but I'm gonna ease your worries, so show you a heart that's made of gold. Bring in the moon, baby, if that's what you need. And as we sail the seven skies, I suggest you close your eyes, for it's then that you can truly see. We can walk on the water, and we can dance in the clouds. You are your father's daughter, and you make him so proud, yeah. But now take my hand, let's play this time. This picture is fading fast, and I don't seem to have the right colors. I don't know how long it will last, but I know that you will. Darling, I know that you will. Last. Yeah, baby, we will. Last. Ooh. We can walk on the water, and we can dance in the clouds. You were your father's daughter, and you made him so proud, yeah. But now take my hand, won't you take my hand, won't you take my hand, and we'll paint this town.
All right, welcome to JNC in the morning. Welcome back. That was Brett Staska. Paint this town. So, what the hell is going on with these kids? That's how I'm gonna paint this out for this story. Now, this is something that took place back in May. It was a big story then. It made national news. But I guess finally they've decided to punish these kids, right? So the Martin County School Board on Wednesday upheld the punishments for 6 students who took a picture with a racial slur at Hidden Oaks Middle School back in May. The photo was heavily circulated on social media. It showed a group of students standing outside the Palm City School holding letters that spelled out a racial slur, the N-word to be particular. After a full-day public meeting on Wednesday, school board members upheld the punishments for all 6 students who were suspended for the remainder of the 21-22 academic year, which was 9 days after the incident, and expelled, ultimately, from Hidden Oaks Middle School. The students will now be assigned to attend Spectrum Academy, which is an alternative school for disciplinary issues, for 1 year, and must also complete the Martin County School District's REACH program, which involves community service. The families of the students had appealed the punishments, which was the purpose of Wednesday's school board meeting. Martin County School District spokeswoman Jennifer DeShazo said the racist message was created during a traditional art project that takes place every year where the students create 3D letters depicting the first letter of their name. DeShazo confirmed the students were given punishments for their participation in the photo. The names of the students involved have not been released due to privacy laws. During Wednesday's school board meeting, Hidden Oaks Middle School art teacher Melissa Nelson emotionally said that she's devastated and will never assign this project to students again. The worst feeling ever, Nelson said. It's been really hard. I just can't believe they actually did this. I haven't had one apology. From what we're hearing, this was planned for weeks, said school board member Victoria DeFentler. This group of students planned this for a period of time, and they thought it was funny, which means they knew that there was something wrong with what they were going to do. Took issue with testimony from a licensed psychotherapist, and clinical social worker who had examined one of the students and said he was remorseful for his actions. They planned this out, and that's a concern because it doesn't mean that all of a sudden impulsively he went out there and did that. She said that I would understand, but this is something that was planned out. The photograph prompted an increased law enforcement presence at Hidden Oaks Middle School after the image was shared on social media. The school's assistant principal said Wednesday that one of the students involved received a threat within 24 hours of the photo being posted online. Surprise, surprise. After the investigation concluded, the 6 students issued an apology letter for their actions, saying they were deeply sorry and ashamed and take full responsibility for what they did. We were wrong, and we made a big mistake when we spelled out that derogatory word, the students wrote in the letter. We thought that word is much like other curse words, but it's not like other curse words. We now know there's nothing funny about it. We were not thinking how this terrible word has hurt so many people for so long. An attorney for one of the students said Wednesday that while there's no excuse for what they did, it was not an intentional act. What the hell are they talking about? Not an intentional act. Man. And clearly they're not taking full responsibility for what they did because their parents are out there at that student meeting, school board meeting, asking for leniency. Sorry, man. Kids are not. Some lessons are harder to learn than others. And, when you make unintentional mistakes or, something, you unintentionally offend somebody and it spirals out of control, that's one thing. But this was, I think we live in the 21st century, if I'm not mistaken. And it's widely known that some of these things are offensive. And when you're able to coordinate 5 other people, I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the chats and comments, or you can give me a call and we can talk about it at 772-888-1596. Yeah, man. I don't get it, guys. These kids. It even went as far as becoming a joke on Saturday Night Live. Colin Jost, co-host of the late night show's Weekend Update segment, said the incident where 6 Hidden Oaks middle school students held up letters spelling a racial slur. It was a shocking instance of Florida being able to spell. So, thank you, Colin, for calling out the Florida school system, which is long been trolled by the rest of the country. But yeah, man, these kids are crazy. In happier news, a huge discovery was found by the Coppa Diamond Company at 170 carats. Maybe the largest pink diamond found in 300 years. A 170 carat pink diamond was discovered in Angola, and maybe the largest such gemstone found in 300 years, according to Australian miner the Coppa Diamond Company. Named the Lulo Rose, the diamond was found at the Lulo alluvial diamond mine in the Lunda Norte region of Angola in Africa. The company said in a statement on Wednesday with its partners, state-run diamond miner Ndiama and Rosas and Pitalas, a private Angolan company. Angola's mines are among the world's top 10 producers of diamonds, according to the Gemological Institute of America, which researches diamond production. In alluvial diamond mining, stones are recovered from gravel and sand found on riverbeds. Only 1 in 10,000 diamonds found are colored, according to Stephen Weatherall, managing director of the Coppa Diamond Company. And only 1 in every 100 diamonds is greater than 10.8 carats in size. So recovering a 170 carat pink diamond means we are dealing with an extremely rare article. We have recovered pink diamonds before, but finding one of this size is extremely rare. The pink gemstone is expected to be auctioned by the Angolan State Diamond Marketing Company, Sodium. Sodium. Weatherall declined to give an estimate of its worth because the diamond is still being examined and valued. The Angolan government also hailed the historic recovery of the gem. The record and spectacular pink diamond recovered from Lulo continues to showcase Angola as an important player on the world stage for diamond mining and demonstrates the potential and rewards for commitment and investment in our growing diamond mining industry. Large color diamonds have fetched record high prices at auction in recent years. Last April, a 15.10 carat the De Beers Cullinan Blue diamond sold for $57.5 million, just modest, at an auction by Sotheby's in Hong Kong. It only narrowly missed beating the record set by the 14.62 carat Oppenheimer Blue diamond, which fetched just shy of an extra $70,000 when it sold in 2016. Angola's biggest diamond, dubbed the 4th February stone, was recovered from the Lulo mine in February of 2016, according to La Coppa. And that 404.2 carat stone sold for $16 million. Let me find one of those. My God. Paul chiming in about the last story about the kids. He says, it sucks if you're parents of the kids. You failed. So it's not a case of, they are punishing them to make an example. I understand. Many times I've had opinions on children or raising children, and I've been put in my place, rightfully so, I suppose, that because I do not have children, how could I possibly understand? Well, let me tell you, because I feel like there's certain values and things that transcend the magical, mystical thing that happens to you when you become a parent. Things like treating people with respect, being responsible for your being able to take the consequences of your actions. These are things that I don't feel like I need to have children to learn. And obviously, I'm not faulting the parents for wanting to protect their kids or get them out of trouble, because I would be right there too. I'm not blaming the parents for that. I would put some square footing right on their shoulders in terms of their kids even having this in their mind, I believe that there is some problem with that, and parents when it comes to teaching their kids that that's a bad thing in the first place. But you got to do something. You can't just let them off the hook, and I feel like getting expelled is really the least that they could have done. Of course, I don't imagine that they were intending for this photograph to become wildly viral. I don't think they thought it was going to go beyond their friend group and social media, but it did. And I don't think that the punishment should be greater because of the reach, but I don't think that was an unfair punishment to expel them, because I've had friends back when I was in school that I got expelled for much less. Smoking cigarettes in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Expelled. Miss out a whole year of school because they got caught smoking cigarettes. Not even dope. Smoking cigarettes in the bathroom. Fighting over a girlfriend or some shit. It's true though, man. These kids intentionally went out there with the actual intent of spelling out a derogatory word. And they were all white kids, of course, obviously. So, they didn't even have any street cred. Crazy, man. But they're middle school kids, and we were stupid kids too, all of us. Except for the 13-year-old from yesterday who's in med school now. Good for her. But yeah, I don't know, man. And like I said, I can't really speak too much to it. I don't have my own children to raise. So I don't know what it feels like when your kids disappoint you in such a ridiculous way. I don't know what that feels like. I imagine it doesn't feel very good. But yeah, those kids, man. It's no bueno. I do have a fun story, though. We'll come back from this music break. I'm going to tell you a story about where, in this case, going green means not going green. And I'll tell you what I mean. I'll tell you what I mean when we come back. Thanks for listening to JNC in the Morning.
You're like staring at the sunrise. Energy all through my veins. You know it drives me insane. It's the way you look in my eyes. Hit me like a
Right, welcome back to Jams and Coffee in the morning. Going green might not be as green as you think. At least according to this story here. Sprite, the popular drink Sprite, is retiring its green plastic bottles after more than 60 years. That's correct. Coca-Cola said Wednesday it's changing the packaging from green to clear plastic beginning August 1st as part of broader efforts to become more environmentally responsible. Sprite's current plastic contains green polyethylene, an additive that can't be recycled into new bottles. Interesting. Key initiative for the company as it looks to reduce plastic waste. Julian Ochoa, the CEO of Recycle, a plastic group helping Coca-Cola improve its recycling, said in a statement, taking colors out of bottles improves the quality of the recycled material. When recycled, clear PET Sprite bottles can be remade into bottles, helping drive a circular economy for plastic. Customers will also notice a revamped logo and packaging design on the Sprite bottles that aims to provide a more consistent look and voice around the world, the company said. The well-known green hue will still be used on the Sprite labels. Other beverages that use green bottles in Coke's portfolio includes Fresca, Seagram's, and Mellow Yellow will also be replaced with clear containers in the coming months. Coca-Cola reported higher than expected second quarter earnings Tuesday, citing strong demand, and lifted its revenue forecast for the full year. The beverage giant has often been criticized for contributing to environmentally damaging plastic waste. 2020, the company was named as the world's #1 plastic polluter by the environmental firm Break Free from Plastic. Its logos and branding were found on 13,834 pieces of discarded plastic in 51 countries, often in public spaces such as parks and beaches. In 2018, Coke announced its World Without Waste initiative with the ultimate goal of collecting and recycling one bottle or can for each one it sells by 2030. Part of that initiative included launching a 13.2-ounce bottle last year that is made from 100% recycled plastic material. The company also Wednesday announced the majority of Dasani bottles in the U.S. and Canada will now be sold in 100% recycled plastic. Coke said this innovation is projected to reduce roughly 20 million pounds of new plastic waste compared to 2019. So, doing their green part by removing the green from the bottles. I thought that was an interesting story. It's a big problem. You know, I think consumer waste is certainly much lower than the pollution by the corporations creating the products that we consume, but every little bit helps, I suppose. Interesting story that turned out to not be a story at all. But while I was preparing for the show this morning, a story came across, and when I clicked to read more, like a headline came across and caught my eye. When I went to click more, it took me to an error page. So I don't know if NBC Today was hacked or they retracted the story, but I did take a screenshot of this news article, and it claimed that former President Clinton died following hospitalization for an infection. And you can even read a little snippet of the story here before the read more button. And it said former President Clinton has died at the age of TK. I'm not sure what that means. The politician had been hospitalized in mid-October for a non-COVID infection. Upon further research, though, it appears that he is alive and fine so far. I could not find any other stories to corroborate this whatsoever. But NBC Today is a well-known, reputable news source, whether you agree with them or not. They've been around a while. And apparently this article was published yesterday in the afternoon. So, I don't know where everybody stands on President Bill Clinton. I don't think he was the best president, nor was he the worst by any means. But definitely an interesting historical figure. I was shocked when I saw that headline, but apparently it's not true. Apparently that is not corroborated in any other stories that I saw, at any rate. So if you know any more about it or have seen anything more about it, please let me know in the chats and comments, or you can give me a call at 772-888-1596. Crazy. Death hoaxes are crazy. They're hilarious sometimes, but this one wasn't so funny. I was shocked. We're going to get into the top 10 list, but first, let's talk a little bit about our national days today. Speaking of going green, it is World Conservation Day. It's also World Hepatitis Day. It's World Buffalo Soldiers Day, National Milk Chocolate Day, and National Water Park Day. And I think that's interesting because I have a video here I'd like to share with you guys that celebrates a couple of these national days. So feast your eyes on this and enjoy. I wonder if it ever stops raining, should I open my own water park? Welcome to Captain Dick's Strong Island Water Park, where you can ride the lazy river in your mind. You can shoot down Dick's straw plunge.
Ahoy there, I'm Captain Dick, and while your kids run rampant through my water park, you can go here and get smashed by the pool bar.
Captain Dick's Strong Island Water Park. If you don't go to Dick's, you're nuts. That's right, Captain Dick's Water Park there for National Water Park Day. It's fun. I made that video last year, and a series of these National Day videos, and now it's kind of fun to be able to revisit them a year later and share them all over again. Yeah, whatever you're doing, get out there and celebrate one of these National Days today. We also got some celebrity birthdays. Soulja Boy, tell him, 32 years old today. Everyone's favorite aunt, Lori Loughlin, is 58, if you can believe that. And because he got high, Afro Man is 48 years old today. So happy birthday, you guys out there. And without further ado, I think it's time to get into the JNC Top 10. All right, our top 10 is top 10 bizarre animal facts that you didn't know. So as someone who loves nature trivia, I get very disappointed seeing the same 50 tidbits making the rounds on the internet, like some greatest hits of the animal kingdom. Cheetahs are fast, hyenas are mean, and everything in Australia wants to kill you. We know. So here are 10 random things in nature that you may not have heard of. There we are. First, number 10 on the list. Insects have alien blood. It's true. Actually, it isn't blood at all, but rather something called hemolymph. Has been somewhere between 500 and 600 million years since humans and insects shared a common ancestor. So it's no surprise that there are a few differences Hemolymph is copper-based rather than the iron that runs in our veins, giving it a blue or greenish tint when it's oxygenated. It's not used to carry oxygen, however, as respiration through the skin is adequate for an insect's oxygen needs. This means they can have much more relaxed circulatory system. Their hearts beat much less frequently than our own, and can even enter a state of rest to conserve energy. A New Zealand insect called the Weta has been popping up on a lot of sites lately because of a protein in its hemolymph that prevents ice crystals from forming. This is actually not that uncommon, as many beetles, flies, and bees possess the same trait. Number 9 on this list, moles have absurdly soft fur. One of the simplest ways to annoy a cat is to pet it the wrong way. If you were to somehow tame a mole and stroke it from head to tail, however, the mole wouldn't mind at all. The individual hairs on a mole's body are each embedded in a sac of fluid, allowing them to lay in any direction against the skin with no discomfort or resistance. Interesting. It's a very practical adaptation. When you live your life in tunnels that are no bigger than your own body, sometimes you have to go straight backwards, and that's a lot easier to do when your fur is always streamlined for any directional change. The softness of mole fur has not gone without notice throughout history, and I'm told they make lovely coats. Between that and their status as a pest in human society, many species of mole are now threatened with extinction. Number 8. I've seen actually a few websites over the years postulate that birds could do pretty well in a zero-gravity environment. And one even speculated that the only reason we've never taken them up is because of hygiene issues. I can tell you right now, that could not be further from the truth. Except for maybe the hygiene thing. Because bird poop. The single most important reason birds can't live in space is because most of them can't swallow, including the actual swallow. Swallow the bird. The birds are pro-regurgitators, and they rely on gravity to get their food and drink down in the first place. That's why you see them dip their beaks in water and then lift their heads to let it trickle down. If we were to take birds up to the ISS, they would more than likely die of dehydration, if not drowning, trying to drink. On a side note, pigeons have been taken up on the Vomit Comet, which is a plane that flies in long parabolic arcs to simulate zero gravity for short periods of time, and they didn't do too well with the whole flying thing either. Number 7 on this list of crazy animal facts. Moths possess an anti-bat arsenal. Well, bats are some of the most fascinating and well-documented hunters in the animal kingdom, so being a nocturnal flying insect seems like it might as well be a death sentence. It turns out they are actually embroiled in an arms race 50 million years old. A major problem with echolocation is that the target knows you're coming as soon as you use it, just like in every submarine movie ever. Many species of moths use this to their advantage, to the point where some of them can gauge the distance to their attacker and react with more urgency the closer they are. My favorite tactic is called flight cessation, otherwise known as falling. Tiger moths take defense a step further by employing countermeasures. At nearly the last moment of the attack, they will release a series of clicks in order to jam the bat's sonar, causing them to miss as often as 4 out of 5 times in a recent study. Fascinating stuff. Number 6, the axolot never grows up. The axolot is a salamander-like animal that grows around a foot long, give or take. It's completely aquatic, vegetarian, and lives anywhere from 10 to 15 years. While its cousin, the tiger salamander, looks a lot like it during its larval stage, the axolot just never gets around to having its own metamorphosis into a full-fledged salamander. What's really fascinating, though, is that it can, by using iodine to stimulate the thyroid, sometimes it lacks the hormones to do it itself. The axolot can be forced into undergoing a transformation that the species abandoned somewhere along the way. Unfortunately, the axolotl their only native habitat is in the waters around Mexico City. And pollution, invasive fish species, and the fact that they are apparently delicious has reduced their numbers to critically endangered levels. More now exist in home aquariums than in the wild. I personally think they're adorable, but they still end up on every list of the ugliest things ever on the internet. Number 5, this one might surprise you, that owls are not very wise at all. It's hard work to look into the face of an owl and not think that sucker knows everything about you. It does, actually, but that thing is how to eat and kill rodents with great efficiency, and that's about it. An owl's eyes are quite large, but its skull not so much. This leaves very little room for a brain that, while capable of processing very large amounts of optical data, just doesn't have the power to do much critical thinking. It's incredibly difficult to train them to do even the most rudimentary tasks. When Gary Garrow, an owl trainer that worked on the Harry Potter movies, was asked where the term wise old owl came from, he replied with, "I don't know who coined the phrase, but I certainly know it wasn't an owl trainer." Number 4, taxifolia is taking over. Every saltwater fish tank has a Caulerpa taxifolia in it, and at least when I was a kid, and it's an impressively hardy and vibrant species of seaweed which produces a toxin that makes it inedible to almost all aquatic life. This is great for certain species of fish tank or tank fish that like to destroy your living decorations. So what happens when a fast-growing and poisonous plant happens to get into an ecosystem where it doesn't belong? Well, it gets dubbed the killer algae and then tossed right into the IUCN's list of most invasive species in the world. How it got into the Mediterranean Sea is as much a matter of debate as its effects, but it only took a decade for taxifolia to cover an estimated 30 square kilometers by the early 90s. Some research implies that its introduction might even be overall positive, but the fact remains that many native species simply cannot exist with it. The saddest part is that the invasion was discovered early. Debate over whose fault it was prevented it from being dealt with, and now it may be too late to do anything more than watch what happens. Number 3 on this list, hoats and chicks have hands. Onto an animal that is doing just fine. The hoatzin is a really neat-looking bird that tastes awful and smells worse, which are very useful advantages for being left alone by humans. There are a few types of birds that hatch with some form of spurs or claws on their wings, but the hoatzin chicks, they actually have a purpose. The babies are active climbers, using the pair of claws on each wing for an extra grip as they make their way around the trees. Falling? That's okay. They can swim pretty well, too. In fact, the only thing they aren't so good at is flying. A newborn will have to wait months before it's developed enough to fly, and the adults are notoriously clumsy. Number 2, jumping spiders have great depth perception. Just because something has 8 eyes doesn't necessarily mean it has great eyesight. Field of vision isn't the same as acuity. It isn't really an issue for most spiders since they hunt by setting a trap and waiting, but not so in the case of more nomadic hunters like the jumping spider. And only in recent years have researchers begun to understand how the jumping spider's eyes actually work. The 2 primary eyes are incredibly complex. Even though the lenses are fixed, they are able to achieve some form of binocular vision by moving the retina around behind it. Those retina are composed of separate layers of light-sensitive cells. Learning something new today, folks. An image that's in focus on one layer is out of focus on the one right above it. So by comparing the sharp image to the blurry one, the spider is able to judge the distance quite accurately. It does this so well that a Japanese company is currently attempting to apply the concept to a camera potentially capable of filming in 3D with a single lens. And finally, number 1 on the list, siphonophores will blow your mind. Siphonophores raise some really important philosophical questions about what makes an individual organism But first, I should probably explain what they are. The most famous example is the Portuguese man-o-war, which is often incorrectly classified as a jellyfish. Other notable members include the Praia dubia, which is one of the longest creatures we know of, an astounding 50 to 60 meters, and a recently discovered species of the Arena genus that produces an extremely rare red bioluminescence. The siphonophore, say that 3 times fast, is composed of zooids, each a singular animal within the colony, which are specialized for certain tasks. These zooids are capable of performing their duties on their own to the benefit of the collective, but they must rely on other types of zooids to perform the functions they cannot. This doesn't necessarily make them individuals. Despite all the things that separate from the rest of the colony, the entire siphonophore still grows from a single egg. Interesting. So are they one creature or many? Well, that's where it gets complicated. You zoom back far enough and it certainly looks and behaves as one animal, but the closer you examine it, the more distinctive the pieces become, because they hover right on the line between colonial and a complex multicelled organism. The siphonophore may hold some very important clues as to how evolution could have bridged that gap. And that is truly amazing. And this has been 10 crazy animal facts on the JNC Top 10 list. Thanks for listening. Got one more interesting story here before we get to our shameless plugs. Oh, man. Apparently, a 66-year-old is likely cured of HIV after stem cell transplant. After receiving a stem cell transplant, a 66-year-old man may be the 5th person to be cured of HIV, which, of course, is the virus that causes AIDS. Researchers reported on Wednesday, just yesterday. The patient who wishes to remain anonymous is the oldest person yet to undergo the procedure and enter long-term remission from the disease. The man, known as the City of Hope patient, in a reference to the medical center in Los Angeles where he was treated, was first diagnosed with HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, in 1988, according to a statement shared by City of Hope. He said, "When I was diagnosed with HIV in 88, like many others, I thought it was a death sentence." Just the year before, in March of 1987, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved the first antiretroviral therapy or medication for HIV called AZT, according to the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. It wasn't until the mid-90s that combination therapies for HIV would come into use. These therapies combined with 2 to 3 HIV drugs to boost the efficacy of the treatment and help prevent patients from developing resistance to the drugs. Such combination therapies are now the standard care for treatment of HIV. The City of Hope patient took antiretroviral drugs for more than 31 years to control his HIV. At one point, the man's condition had progressed to AIDS, meaning that his white blood cell count had fallen to critically low levels. He took AZT and some of the other early HIV medications, which were prescribed individually, before switching to a highly effective combination antiretroviral treatment in the 90s. Several decades later, in 2018, the patient developed acute myelogenous leukemia, or AML, a cancer of the blood and bone marrow. As a treatment for both the cancer and HIV, doctors performed a blood stem cell transplant with cells from a donor who carried a rare genetic mutation. This mutation, called homozygous CCR5 delta 32, we'll never say that again. We're just going to call it the mutation, renders its carrier resistant to HIV by altering the entryway that the virus usually exploits to invade the body's white blood cells. Following the man's transplant, these mutant HIV-resistant cells steadily took over his immune system. In March of 2021, under the careful supervision of his medical team, the patient stopped taking the antiretroviral medications, and to date, there have been no signs of HIV replication in his body. The team described the patient as being in long-term remission, and there's been no trace of viable virus in his system for 17 months. They'll obviously continue to monitor his condition and may declare him officially cured at a later date if his status remains unchanged. A City of Hope patient's case is very similar to that of the so-called Berlin patient, the first person cured of HIV. The Berlin patient, who later revealed his name to be Timothy Ray Brown, also developed AML and received a bone marrow transplant from a donor with an HIV-resistant genetic mutation. Two others, the Dusseldorf and the London patients, were cured using the same procedure, according to NBC News. And recently, one woman was cured after receiving a stem cell transplant that used cells from umbilical cord blood. So, this is another case that resembles the Timothy Brown from years ago. David Ho, one of the world's leading AIDS researchers and director of the Aaron Diamond AIDS Research Center at Columbia University, told the Washington Post, however, given the risks of the transplant procedure and the rarity of the HIV-resistant mutation, such treatments aren't accessible to the majority of HIV patients. While a transplant is not an option for most people with HIV, these cases are still interesting, still inspiring, and illuminate the search for a cure. Some research groups are actually working to develop a gene editing technique that could introduce the HIV-resistant mutation into patients. Dr. Jana Dichter, a City of Hope Associate Clinical Professor, I guess she was, according to her. So yeah, that's there's hope on the horizon for HIV. Patients out there. That's it's a shame that it takes such a rare genetic mutation in order to do that, but clearly they're working on replicating that. Interesting moral dilemma when it comes to stem cells, and certainly when you start messing with replicating blood and doing things synthetically. But I think all that goes out of the window when you're the one that is afflicted with something that will eventually end your life. At that point, you just kind of try anything to get a few more years out of this old thing. So, interesting story. We'll see how that progresses. Before I let you go this morning, I have a few shameless plugs to give you. I'll be performing my one-man band show tonight at Manatee Island in Fort Pierce, which is going to be the only Manatee Island. I believe I read that the Port Salerno Manatee Island is switching owners. I'm not sure if they're going to rename it. I imagine they would. So Manatee Island and Fort Pierce will remain open and operating as usual. So come see me there tonight. I'll be there at 5:30 p.m. until somewhere around 8:30 p.m. There's always a good time there. Next shameless plug is the Live365 Radio App. You should get it. You should get the Live365 Radio App. It's completely free from your favorite app store. And you'll find JNC Radio on there, and that is where we live in the radio world. So you can download our station. We have great music playing all day, including local favorites and regional independent artists that are good friends of mine, plus a variety mix of other great music that you can put on in the background and listen to all day long. I'll be on there every morning with this show. And, of course, the podcast broadcasts on Wednesday nights. And we've got other content coming out throughout the week that we're excited to bring to that app as well. We have a lot more freedom in terms of presenting music on that app because we have a license to broadcast music through the Live365 app. So JNC Radio, that's where you're going to be able to hear it, and we don't have to be so coy about playing music there because it's licensed. Unfortunately, they don't give us that leeway on the YouTube or Facebook streaming services. We don't even have an option to get a license to do that there, so it's unfortunate. But yeah, Live365 app, go get it, for free, and then of course search for JNC Radio and add it to your favorites. We'd love that. Paul from the Drums and Rums podcast, getting on a plane to head to North Carolina for a rum event. Be sure to check out his podcast. Interesting guests and great features on that podcast. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find Drums and Rums. And, of course, on Facebook and YouTube on Thursday nights at 8 p.m., he has his biggest happy hour and half hour where he features guests and other fun games and interacts with you guys in a live setting. So be sure to tune in tonight, 8 p.m., for the biggest happy hour and half hour. Our friends at Code Rum, smoothest rums on the planet, Johnny Ringo. If you're a rum drinker, check out his products, thecoderum.com. You can also check out his Code Rum cakes, which are delicious, and his variety of spicy Captain Ringo's hot sauces, also available on the website there. We have a benefit event coming up next Tuesday, and I'll be mentioning this quite often over the next week here. So next Tuesday, Glenn Whalen is a local music staple here on the Treasure Coast, and he unfortunately was recently diagnosed with cancer. So we're some local legends themselves have been putting together a benefit for him to help him with costs associated, obviously, with going through cancer treatments, and obviously your ability to work while suffering those side effects is really, really difficult. But it's an all-star lineup. It's happening next Tuesday, August 2nd, kicking off at 3 p.m. With music all day from that point on by all local legends like Scott Benge, Chris King, who's back in town and back on the scene, Andrew Scott, Delta Dave, the Shakers, and Hurricane Hawk and the Invaders, rounding out that lineup. And it'll be at Crawdaddy's in Jensen Beach. And it's going to be a great time. Good food, good drink specials, and raffles. And it's all to benefit Glenn Whalen and his journey through cancer treatment. He's a great guy. He suffered some severe loss over the last few years. And this is just another blow. But we can soften the blow by going out and supporting a great local artist who's given so much to the scene over the years. So if you're local in the area, make some plans. Come out on Tuesday, August 2nd, kicking off at 3 and going all night at Crawdaddy's in Jensen Beach. It's totally important. And I think that does it for my shameless plugs. Again, I appreciate you tuning in with me this morning. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel because that's where this is going to be taking place in the video form. Moving forward, I'll still keep promoting it on Facebook, but I'm not live streaming there anymore because it's created it's basically put me on the radar for them. So they're retroactively going back and looking through all my posts, and daily I get messages saying that I'm violating their standards by promoting things, which I think is outrageous. But in an effort to counter that and to move the show over to this platform, which is much more conducive to what we do. That's how we're going to do things from now on. So please subscribe and share with your friends. Yeah, that's right, Philip. Crawdaddy's is right next to the Taco Tiki, or just like right around the block. It's a great place. It's a great place for music. They actually just they redid the whole stage in there, and they it was all open air, and it still is. But they put in a roof system that they are able to close if it starts raining, so it becomes an enclosure. But when it's nice out, you could still enjoy the open air. Very cool addition to their place there at Crawdaddy's. So, but yeah. Be sure to stay cool out there today. Drink some water. It's going to be hot. And find some shade when you can. I think that's incredibly important. And I will see you back here first thing tomorrow morning for another episode of Jams and Coffee. If you enjoyed the show this morning, enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe out there. Until next time. Signing off.
Tune in again tomorrow morning for the latest local buzz, national headlines, music news and more on JNC in the Morning, right here on Facebook and YouTube.